And let me know when we're live, LSO.
Mr. Chairman, you are live.
The House will please come to order. Welcome, members, to our fourth session of the 66th Wyoming Legislature. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Convening roll call for the fourth day, Friday, January 29th, 2021. Andrew.
Here.
Baker.
Here.
Banks.
Here.
Bear.
Present.
Blackburn.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Burkhart.
Here.
Burt.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
Clifford.
Here.
Connolly.
Here.
Crago.
Present.
Duncan.
Here.
Eklund. Eklund.
He's present in the chamber, Chief Clerk.
Air.
Here.
Flitner.
Here.
Fortner.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Greer.
Here.
Hallinan.
Here.
Haroldson.
Here.
Harshman.
Here.
Heiner.
Here.
Henderson.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Jennings.
Here on the floor. Didn't cue his mic.
Kinner.
Here.
Knapp.
Here.
Larson Lloyd.
Here.
Larson Dan.
Here.
McGuire.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
Nyman.
Here.
Newsom.
Here.
Nicholas.
Here.
Oakley.
Here.
Obermuller.
Here.
O'Hearn.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Ottman.
Here.
Paxton.
Here.
Provenza.
Here.
Roscoe.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Sherwood.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Summers.
Here.
Stiff.
Here.
Stivar.
Present.
Sweeney.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Washit.
Here.
Western.
Here.
Wharf.
Here.
Williams.
Present.
Wilson.
Here.
Winter.
Here on the floor.
I still need to hear voices, so I'm going to call back to those people.
Okay, they're just getting, a couple of them had technical difficulties. They're working on it. Thank you.
Yin.
Here.
Zwanitzer.
Excused.
Mr. Speaker.
Here.
Eklund.
Here.
Jennings.
Here.
Winter.
Excused.
We have 58 present, 2 are excused.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. So members, please join for our prayer of the day. Chairman Olson.
Thank you, members. If you would please bow your head and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we humbly come to you this morning in prayer as we now begin this fourth day of the 66th Wyoming Legislative General Session. Lord, in 1787, Benjamin Franklin recommended to the Continental Congress that because you govern the affairs of all men, that we ought to implore the assistance of heaven and in its blessings on our deliberations. And therefore, prayer to you ought to be held in the nation's assembly each morning before the procession of business. Father, we continue this important tradition and most sacred undertaking to this day, right here in the Wyoming House of Representatives, as we seek assistance from your throne in heaven and all your blessings on our deliberations. Father, help us to consider and navigate the many sides of truth that each issue presents to us as we consider the issues of our time. bill by bill, amendment by amendment, and debate by debate. Father, remind us not to lean on our own understanding of the issues, and more importantly, on what we perceive to be the solutions, but that we ever be reminded to seek you and your will in all that we do and consider within the people's house. May we fully contemplate, Lord, the lives of our constituents and the people of Wyoming, in not only each action that we take, but in the actions we consciously and willfully decide not to take. Father, in the discourse and debates in which we must engage with one another, we will no doubt display our many passions for our work and the people we serve. As we do this, Lord, gently remind each one of us to keep our thoughts and tongues civil as we communicate with one another. Remind us that we are first colleagues and friends, lest we otherwise become to one another nothing more than ideological labels or symbols of the issues we represent. And finally, Father, bless not only our deliberations this day, but the men and women overseas serving and protecting our nation, those securing the blessings of liberty here at home, and of course, those battling the pandemic that has far too long plagued our great nation. We ask all this in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Chairman Olson. As I'll try to do every day is I'll try to extend a gratitude. And the first day was to our military veterans currently serving. Yesterday was to healthcare, today to educators. Educators across our state, whether in private schools or public schools or higher education or preschools. Thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for all you do, the challenges you have every day. As my wife is one of those people, she says, we'll do anything for our babies. We'll do anything for our babies. So thank you. Chief Clerk, Journal Committee report.
Your Journal Committee reports that the Journal of January 28th, 2021 has been read and recommend that it be approved, signed Representative Haroldson and Provenza.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. I have one announcement for the body. The Joint Rules Committee will meet at noon recess, and we'll try to have an update of when that will be because it's obviously a joint rules committee. So we'll try to coordinate closely with our Senate colleagues so that we can take up the business of joint rules. Just a notice, we will probably have a committee report on the Rules Committee from last night at some point. Chief Clerk, would you affirm that we'll have a Rules Committee report at some point?
Yes, from last night, we don't normally read those out until we actually go into the presentation of the rules.
Perfect. Yep, perfect. I didn't know how that worked. I just should stick to my script, Chief Clerk. Thank you. I see no message from the Senate. So we're going to our first order of business. Now, members, our order of business today, as I've mentioned to some of you and gave you a heads up yesterday, is going to be a little different. Usually, the House of Representatives takes things up as second reading and then third reading and then committee of the whole. But because we're trying to effectuate a meaningful crossover, meaning the bills that the Senate is working and the bills we're working get to the other side in a timely manner, and then we can have committee meetings next week and they can be noticed properly by the end of today for a Monday morning meeting, such as Minerals or Labor Committee. We've switched the order so that the third reading bills, which is our final action in the House, our final action will take place first. That gives our staff, our LSO staff, more time to prepare the bills and deliver them to the Senate the same way that we hope they will do for us. So the first order of business is going to be our third reading consent list. And I'm going to ask for a motion from the majority floor leader to move the consent list. And what the consent list is, and this is mostly for the new members, I understand our returning members understand this. We'll read the consent list and then we'll vote on the consent list. And what we're doing is voting to, and the vote in order is an aye vote. And then after that, the chief clerk will give everybody an opportunity to change their vote on any of the bills. And she will say, are there any changes to House Bill 3? And then you can raise your hand and she will change your vote on the roll. So your vote will be recorded the way you want it to be. But it's in order to vote aye on the consent list, agreeing to move all those bills at the same time, and then vote on each bill if you choose to change your vote. So I see a question up. Representative Wharf, did you have a question for us?
Yes,
Or
Mr.
privilege of the
Speaker.
floor?
Privilege of the floor, Mr. Speaker.
Certainly, Representative Wharf.
I just caught you said that this consent list was available on our calendar. I have not been able to find it.
Okay. So there will be, the majority floor leader will read the consent list to you with the different bills on it. But just for the members, if you go to the home page and the public, the home page under calendars for the, and then go to the House details, House floor details, it should come right up for you. But
Thank you,
the
Mr.
majority floor leader will read the list. Now the list may change from what's on the computer because somebody may have filed an amendment. So sometimes or often the list does change. So with that, Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And maybe just one other note, Mr. Speaker, is once we name the consent list, then there'll be, then the speaker will ask, does anybody want to remove one of these bills from the consent list? And so if the body decides they do not want one of these bills on the consent list, they can raise their hand and kind of make that motion. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I move the consent list consisting of the following bills: House Bill 3, House Bill 6, House Bill 9, House Bill 27, and House Bill 48.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. Would any member like any of the bills removed from the consent list? Any member like any of those bills removed? Seeing no objection, Chief Clerk, please read the bills on the consent list.
House Bill 3, sponsored by Labor, Health, and Social Services, Certified Addictions Practitioner Certification Amendments, an act relating to mental health professions, licensing and certifications, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. House Bill 6, sponsored by Minerals, Business, and Economic Development, Trust Company Amendments, an act relating to trust companies, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. House Bill 9, sponsored by Minerals, Business, and Economic Development, Short-Time Compensation Program, an act relating to labor and employment, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. House Bill 27, sponsored by Corporations, Elections, and Political Subdivision, Business Code Revisions, an act relating to businesses, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming. And House Bill 48, sponsored by Appropriations, Community Juvenile Services, an act relating to community juvenile services, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall these bills pass the House? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call on the consent list. Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund,
Aye.
Air,
Aye.
Flitner,
Aye.
Fortner,
Aye.
Gray,
Aye.
Greer,
Aye.
Hallinan,
Aye.
Haroldson, Haroldson, Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Jennings,
Aye.
Kinner,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Newsom,
Aye.
Nicholas,
Aye.
Oakley,
Aye.
Obermuller,
Aye.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
Aye.
Paxton,
Aye.
Provenza,
Aye.
Roscoe, Roscoe,
Excused.
excused, Schwartz,
Aye.
Sherwood, Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stiff,
Aye.
Stivar,
Aye.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Work,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
there are 59 ayes, 1 excused. Okay, as for House Bill 3, are there any changes? Stivar? Aye to no. Haroldson?
Sure.
Aye to no. Please lower your hands when you're done, please. Further changes? Are there further changes?
Chief,
Williams? Aye to no. Burt? Aye to no. Fortner? Aye to no. Further changes? Further
Chief Clerk.
changes?
Chief
Chief.
Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Chief Clerk, this is Majority Floor Leader. I see Representative Nyman's hand up, and I also see Representative Jennings' hand up.
Can we not raise the yellow hands? Jennings? No.
Chief Clerk, there is some difficulty with some of the programming, so a couple members are not able to raise their yellow hands, one being Representative Nyman.
Okay, Nyman is aye to no. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm confirming on the floor.
Yes.
Further changes? Closing vote? The vote is closed. 52 aye, 7 no, 1 excused. As for House Bill 6, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. Vote is closed. 59 aye, 1 excused. As for House Bill 9, are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote.
Chief Clerk,
Yes, sir.
we do have folks, members, if you want to change your vote, please use your yellow hand if you can, so that Chief Clerk can see it on her screen. Thank you.
Larson Dan, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 58 aye, 1 no, 1 excused. As for House Bill 27, are there any changes? Gray, aye to no. Haroldson, aye to no. Jennings, aye to no. Stivar, aye to no. Nyman, aye to no. Fortner, aye to no. Burt, aye to no. Ward, aye to no. Winter, aye to no. Baker, aye to no. Heiner, aye to no. Bear, aye to no. Larson Dan, aye to no. Knapp, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes? Closing vote. Vote is closed. 45 aye, 14 no, 1 excused. And as for House Bill 48, are there any changes? Connolly, aye to no. Clifford, aye to no. Yin, aye to no. Provenza, aye to no. Bear, aye to no. Further changes? Further changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 54 aye, 5 no, 1 excused.
Thank you, Chief Clerk.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, you know, just as long as we're kind of educating the body.
Let me finish actually the motion on these,
All right,
please.
thank you.
And I seem to have some echo, so I apologize for that. Is Chief Clerk, is my audio really got a lot of echo in it?
It's not bad for me.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Greer is on.
We have some feedback then. Okay, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 3, House Bill 6, House Bill 9, House Bill 27, and House Bill 48 have passed the House. Mr. Majority Floor Leader, you wanted to make some further comments?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, thank you. And I apologize for butting in there. And this is just a suggestion to newbies and the new legislators, freshman legislators. When we do committee of the whole, eventually when we get here in person, it'll be a list that comes out on the floor. And when you have that piece of paper in hand, as you hear the debate in committee of the whole, you can do it electronically if you're an electronic genius, but just write down your general observations of that bill. And oftentimes I put no, or I put okay, or I put question mark by that bill number, and then hold on to that. So when you get to third reading and you've went through about a zillion bills and you maybe don't remember that bill as much as you should, you have something to refer back to. And so it's just it's something I do with my old weak mind to keep me up to speed, is just to make sure I have a note on those bills. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. We are now at that order of business on bills on third reading and final passage. The first bill for our consideration is House Bill 8.
House Bill 8, sponsored by Minerals Business and Economic Development, Consumer Credit Amendments, an act relating to trade and commerce, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
We do have amendments. And my sheet shows 2, but I only see 1 coming online.
You may need to refresh your pages. There are 2 amendments.
Yep, they came up. Thank you very much, Chief Clerk. So the first amendment for our consideration is Representative Stith.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much, members of the body. I present to you third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 8 and ask for your favorable consideration. What this amendment does is it takes the suggestion from the good chairman of the Minerals Committee and incorporates it into an amendment. As you recall, yesterday we voted on an amendment that failed, and it was suggested that if we tweaked it a bit, then we could all get behind it, and that's what this amendment does. So what's at stake here? What this amendment does is to just make clear that the definition of termination of an insurance product that you buy at the car dealership, for example, can be a voluntary termination. And if you voluntarily terminate it, you get a refund of at least a portion of the premium you've paid. The idea being that the insurance company should not be allowed to keep the unearned premium. So that's what it does. The amendment reads in a slightly more complicated fashion because there was a conforming amendment on page 21, but I think the conforming amendment actually makes it, the end product, a better bill and frankly easier to read at the end of the day. So thank you very much, and I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you very much, Representative Stith.
If I didn't say it, I move amendment for adoption.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on the amendment? Any discussion on the amendment? Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the Representative Stith motion on third reading amendment number 1, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Third reading amendment number 1 has been adopted. We now have third reading amendment number 2, Representative Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully will withdraw my amendment.
Thank you, Representative Duncan. So noted. House Bill 8, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan. Larson Dan. McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez. Martinez. Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Excuse me.
Roscoe. Excused. Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stiff,
Aye.
Stivart,
Aye.
Fleeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Worf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Swanitzer.
No.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
Aye.
Martinez, Martinez,
Aye.
Excuse. Oh,
Martinez, aye. Closing vote. Are there any changes? Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 58 aye, 1 no, 1 excused.
House Bill 8, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 8 has passed the House. So members, the same way when we did consent list, if you wish to change your vote after you've made it, you recognize you maybe didn't, weren't on the right bill or whatever, just raise your hand again, your digital hand, your virtual hand, and the chief clerk will change your vote. The next bill for our consideration is final passage is House Bill 13. Reading clerk, chief clerk.
House Bill 13, sponsored by Corporations, Elections, and Political Subdivision, Alcoholic Beverage Regulation, an act relating to the regulation of alcoholic and malt beverages, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Thank you. We do have amendments. There are two that I have on the screen when I just refreshed. The first one is Representative Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 13 and ask for its favorable introduction. Members, you'll remember the conversation we had yesterday about leaving the statute as is when it comes to the amount of direct shipment of wine into the state of Wyoming. I tried to split the difference to double the current amount, but not triple. And so you'll see on the amendment on page 18, line 18, it does change to 72 liters, which is approximately 8 bottles a month per household. So from reviewing the testimony of the interim corporations committee, this was a last minute change, certainly not asked for or contemplated when the bill was brought forth for some alcoholic revisions on wineries and distilleries. But sometimes when you open a statute, I believe the former chairman of corporation saw an opportunity to put a policy statement in the bill. And as the new chairman of corporations, I think that policy statement might have been a bit of an overstep, but appreciating that we do need to, encourage different types of wine into our state, allowing 8 bottles a month in direct shipment, I believe is fair. But we do have a closed system in Wyoming, for better or worse, and to respect that system that we have in place and the alcohol establishments, packaged liquor stores, et cetera, that we have, that I assume most of you all know are in a closed system based on population about how many liquor stores you can have in Wyoming, right? So I feel this protects our local Wyoming businesses, but does allow some room for opportunities for Wyomingites to perhaps acquire bottles of wine that are not available through the Wyoming Liquor Division. Would be happy to answer questions, but ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Zwanitzer. So I seem to have a lot of interest this morning in a topic. So we'll start with, and continuing interest, we'll start with Chairman Olson and then Chairman Nicholas and then Representative Brown and continue down the list. And I'll just remind members that we're on third reading. So you get 2 times. Everyone gets a first opportunity, and those that speak the first time will get a second opportunity. And then the bringer of the amendment gets to clean it up. So with that, Chairman Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and adamantly against this amendment. I'm actually perplexed by the hour in which the amendment comes to us. I would have a lot of questions for the good chairman if this were on an earlier reading, I think that would be appropriate to vet all of that out. You know, this is an amendment that probably should have been brought in the committee. If there was an issue that existed, at least in that chairman's mind, with the bill as previously handed to him by a previous chairman, that would be my first question, really. Was this change heavily considered in your committee? Was it debated? Because there's a lot of questions that come with this change. Number one, this directly impacts the tax that the state of Wyoming would receive. When you monkey with this number, if it goes up, the tax goes up. If it goes down, the tax increase or revenue to the state of Wyoming goes down. So there's a direct correlation that's impacting the revenue. That would have been a very prudent conversation to have inside of that committee. And I would have liked to have asked what those numbers are. Maybe the good chairman knows them and can present them when he does bat some cleanup. I'm also curious what this looks like when you compare it to other states, because as I heard testimony when this bill was presented, I thought that what we were doing was bringing this more in line with, it wasn't just some random policy statement or some random figure that was pulled from the air, but rather this brings us in line with other states in our region, in our area. North Dakota, Colorado. Colorado has no limit, for example. North Dakota allows up to 36 cases per year. South Dakota and Nebraska match that change in this, that would match this to 12 cases per year. So now this amendment brings us out of line with all of our neighbors, save Utah. I think that's a little strange and probably would have been a conversation that would have taken place in the committee with testimony from producers, suppliers, and other interested parties. So ultimately the biggest issues I have with this amendment, beyond I don't think the number should be reduced. I made that clear on previous readings that I don't support protectionism. I think that it hurts Wyoming businesses. It hurts Wyoming individuals. I named my constituent who I believe is harmed by this as a direct seller herself. But more importantly, it's disturbing to me that all of these things would have been vetted in the committee, should have been vetted in the committee. And if they were, we wouldn't have this amendment. We would know where we are. I'm not even sure that the idea of a compromise is necessary because I didn't really hear the body wanting that. So if the good chairman could address the question on the tax revenue decrease that this amendment would cause and what the logic is in bringing us out of line with our neighbors, I think that would help me. But on and against the amendment, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman Nicholas, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment, ladies and gentlemen, a bottle of wine has 4 glasses in it. So if you have 8 bottles, limited to 8 bottles, that's basically if you have 2 adults or 3 adults, that's enough for 8 days. If you consume wine as a regular meal as opposed to milk or other things, and I know that the public health folks have said that 2 glasses of wine are good for your heart, they're good for your body, and they're good for your soul. So on and against.
Thank you. I can't remember who I named next. So I'll go with Representative Duncan and then Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment, adamantly. We went through the entire summer interim. We went through a lot of debate. We went through all the different possibilities and this passed. So I bring up yesterday that this also helps our local wineries, our local stores, because online purchases means that simply that we're buying online. So we can buy it from a local store, we can buy it from a local winery, we can buy it from out-of-state wineries, but we are not in the business of telling consumers who contribute to our tax base what they can and cannot do with their dollars. So I'm on and against this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Brown, and then Hunt, and then Western.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't belabor the point on and against the amendment. I think for many of the same reasons that have already been stated, but one of the biggest things that I think we're all starting to recognize as a body is that it's not government's decision to monitor or track how much alcohol comes into my house and whether or not that's a good idea. So I think, I recognize that the good representative out of Newcastle not too long ago said that we should just remove all of the limitations, and I couldn't agree more. So on and against the amendment, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll be brief as well. I would respectfully push back against the good chairman of corporations. He said that this was brought up just as an opportune moment to bring up this issue, and I would respectfully disagree with that. I think that I certainly don't want to speak for him, as he's no longer here as a member of this body, but the former chairman of corporations, I think brings up a very legitimate point. And I won't rehash this. It's been more eloquently stated by other members, including the good chairman of Judiciary, more eloquently than I could say it and sum it up. But this is a serious issue. And, I think that any inhibition to the free market, any inhibition to the free rights of purchasing power by our citizens of this state should never be put into statute. So on and against. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Representative Western, then Burt, then Jennings. Representative Western.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually took my hand out, so I'll pass. Thank you.
My apologies. I've already written your name down. Representative Burt, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With all due respect to the representative bringing the amendment, I am on and against this one. I just don't think it's our place as legislative body to dictate what people can and can't do within the private homes. I'm actually more on the side of actually removing any restrictions if we get to that point. When we're looking at through the past year, we're looking at a lot of people are locked down and confined and whatnot. And I think we actually need to start looking at how to remove restrictions and actually let people, our constituents across this great state, be able to, spend their money as they wish, where they wish, and how they wish. So on and against. Thank you, sir.
Representative Jennings, and then Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if this is the sweet spot or not, but it might be a good place to start. I'm going to support Chairman Zwanitzer in this because we heard testimony yesterday that I think there's some concern about how it might damage our brick and mortar people. And I just remind the body, when did we start passing legislation to look like those states around us? We're Wyoming. We need to do what's best for us. Now, maybe I would support at some point removing it completely, like some of my colleagues have suggested, but it might be a good place to start with just doubling instead of tripling and opening the gates. So I'm in support of this.
Thank you, Representative Jennings. Just a reminder to the body to not use each other's names. Representative Clausen, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My point on this particular bill hasn't been touched, but in committee, it's the reason we opened this up so far was actually the risk for abuse. So we are a control state, but the reason we opened up for wine versus let's say cinnamon whiskey is the risk for abuse of a case of wine going to a frat house or underage is fairly low. Fancy wine, the people that consume it aren't necessarily going to be abusing it, but the other sorts of liquor do, and that was the reasoning in committee of opening this up.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for their first time? Any other member for their first time on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 13? Any member for their first time? Representative Sweeney.
First for a second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any other member? Representative Flitner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment. On behalf of all those poor, old, arthritic, retired ranchers out there who live in rural Wyoming who would like to up their case, I I would respectfully push back against this amendment. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any, any other member for their first time? Any other member for their first time? Seeing none. Any member for their second time? Anyone want a second round?
Question.
Back to this, no one for the second time, back to the sponsor. Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And perhaps when I brought the amendment, I thought it was going to be a good kumbaya moment for the body, that we could all agree, and that doubling the amount was going to be satisfactory after the date we had yesterday. So apparently that's not favorable. And I mean, I don't know what the right answer is, but I do know we have a limit for a reason. I guess I had some questions towards me about why I didn't bring this up earlier. There were some conversations. I did know the good representative from Casper was bringing an amendment on second reading to hold, you remember the second reading amendment debate yesterday. So I didn't want to interfere with that amendment, but thought this would be a good, more unified position for the body, that we would double the number. It's certainly not my intent to hurt arthritic ranchers, but those poor delivery carriers that have to ship wine out to those ranches, there's a cost to that probably. But maybe a couple other thoughts. I think it's fair to say it's up in the air that there would be more tax revenue. We are a control state, and we do have, while not a direct tax on wine, we have a formula that happens at the liquor warehouse, what they call a markup. And so it's complicated. And I know the good representative from Goshen County has a bill forthcoming to statutorialize and try to make it equal. But right now it's really based more on goodwill. So the statement that we're making more taxation revenue off direct shipments, I'm not sure is correct at this time. Anyway, vote your conscience. I do think we have a responsibility to the current program and to the people who own liquor licenses to go slow in this regard. Those of us who've been here for a while know that we've gone slowly but efficiently in expanding our liberalizing our alcohol laws, which I think is great. I'm just asking for a little bit of caution, be conservative, and doubling up on the number that just got doubled 6 years ago, I think is still taking it pretty fast in my mind. But if people want to take it faster, vote your conscience. But thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chairman Zwanitzer. So members, we're voting on third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 13. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? The amendment has failed. We are now on to third reading amendment number 2. Representative Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 13 and ask for your favorable decision. I'll go into the specifics of the amendment and then state the intent. The specifics occur on page 26, first line 18, after dispensing, insert area. Page 26, line 19, reinsert all stricken language. And page 26, line 20, reinsert all stricken language. And the intent of this amendment is to ensure that an employee under 18 does not enter the dispensing area of a restaurant or bar. And secondly, that an underage patron does not enter the area of a restaurant or bar in the dispensing area. With that, I would move for adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Knapp. So we'll start with first time on this third reading amendment. So I have Representative Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment. And friends, I'm actually just thinking about kind of my current experience here in my hometown during the pandemic, where I have wanted to kind of support local businesses and get some takeout. And the way that one of them operates is that you go into their very small kind of liquor area, dispensing area, and that's where you can get your takeout. And I have had the 17 or 18 or 19-year-old kid carry that takeout to that kind of dispensing area and hand it over to me. And that's where they have all of their protocols for health and safety in place. And that makes sense to me. And so this right here would change that. And right now, I think that could detrimentally hurt some of our businesses that are doing everything that they can to stay open right now. So on and against.
Thank you very much. Chairman Zwanitzer and then Representative Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In favor of the amendment, just wanted the body to know, did check with the department that oversees liquor in our state and the association that sells liquor in our state, and they didn't have serious concerns with leaving the language currently in statute as it is. That's what the amendment does. So the current process that we're operating underneath stays the same. I think most local bars and liquor stores have it figured out. Mine let me take my kids in as long as they don't touch anything, and they give out free suckers to them and dog treats for some weird reason in the packaged liquor store. But so I don't think it harms the bill either way if you leave it in or take it out. If there is some consternation that we're going to be having minors, sitting at the bar at 19 ordering drinks without proper protocols, then it's fine to pass this amendment and keep the status quo. I know we're all for liberalizing alcohol laws, but I'm not sure we're at that point yet where we want to liberalize them too much.
Thank you very much. I have Representative Sweeney and then Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my opinion, what I'm on and against the amendment because I felt that the change kind of spoke to the concern that operators have. Basically, if you got the restaurant area separate from your bar area, if you have a full retail license, and the server enters the bar area to pick the cocktail up, they're allowed as a server under 21 to go ahead and serve the cocktail, but they're not allowed, in my opinion, the way we always interpreted the laws, to enter the bar to pick the cocktail up to then deliver it to the table. And so this simple change actually clarifies it better in my mind. And I don't take it that they would be allowed behind the bar as a actual bartender. I don't read it that way, but so I'm against this because I think the change is a good change.
Thank you very much, Representative Sweeney. I have Representative Duncan and then Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a point of, I can't state it any better than the previous representative. He is, for those of you that are new, he is a lifelong restaurateur, bar, and catering and hotel operator, owner, and he is the premium expert when it comes to this information, the rules, the laws, and having to follow those things when it comes to this. But my question is, with the amendment, the way it's written, you're asking to insert on line 18, page 26, line 18, you're asking to put in the word areas. It's the way the bill is already written with the new language all stricken. On page 27, line 5, areas is already there. So you're kind of duplicating, from what I'm understanding, that part. So that's just a clerical, I guess, bringing that concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gray for your first time, then Representative Heiner, and then Stith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really want to encourage an aye vote on this amendment. I thank the member from Gillette for bringing this, and the chairman of corporations for signing on. I appreciate that. I generally lean towards making these laws a little more the parts about the volume. I mean, I've opposed all those amendments. I think that people should be able to contract that with and buy wine and have it delivered to their house. But this is where the line kind of crosses to me. And we talk about minors, and this is just reinserting the stricken language that has been in statute. I understand operators are, it's a little bit of a difficulty in terms of implementing it, but they have, and let's just keep it the way it is. And this is where I get pretty concerned. So let's vote aye on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Heiner, Stith, and then Haroldson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to speak for and in behalf of this amendment as a father. I have five daughters that began waitressing when they were 16 years old and waitressed up through to the time when they completed their college degrees. And I am very grateful as a father for the statutes that were in place, limiting what they could do as far as go into the dispensing area. Whenever a customer ordered alcoholic beverages, the individuals in the bar would bring it out to the table so that my daughters did not have to go into the bar to get that beverage, being only 16 or 17 years old. So as a father, I very much appreciate that limitation to protect my daughters when they're out serving and working in the business. So I speak in behalf and for this amendment.
Thank you. Representative Stith, Haroldson.
Mr. Speaker, I just have a question for the representative from District 58 and for the sponsors. If we vote no on this amendment, what prevents a bartender who lacks daycare from bringing their 5-year-old with them to work and having the 5-year-old help out and pass out beer?
Thank you very much. Representative Haroldson for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To address from, I guess, the question that was brought forward, or the clerical question that was brought forward from my fellow colleague from House District number 5. If you do read on 18, line 18, we struck room and we added in area, and then we left 19 and 20, but on 21, room was not brought back in. So the area that's at the bottom would then slide up and it would read dispensing area, nor shall any person other than the employee over 18 years of age be permitted to enter the dispensing, and again, area. So I believe it's probably right. Just a clarification on that. And then to speak in favor of this, I do have a 10 and a 12-year-old, and I appreciate protecting the next generation and protecting a younger generation. I'm not going to come out and say anything against alcohol use or anything, because that's 100% someone's decision. But I think that we have placed ample laws in place to protect a younger generation, and we should continue to keep those there for the protection of that next generation. So thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Clausen for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the intention of this portion of the bill is being lost in some of the language. If you go to lines 6 through 9, so we change this: alcohol, liquor, and malt beverages shall be dispensed and prepared for consumption in the licensed building in areas approved by the local licensing authority. So this took out the description of exactly what it had to be handed down from the state and moved it over to basically the cities or counties or wherever the authority is to hash these things out, because over the years, bars and restaurants, a restaurant gets turned into a bar gets turned into a restaurant, and the language that was pre-existing was a little bit wonky or inconsistent for what actually goes on the ground, and it led to having strange things in bars, simply metal guardrails and things like that to comply with state statute. And this cleans it up, so the local building, the local licensing authority can look and make sure this is safe for minors, and instead of just going by arbitrary state rules that were a little bit antiquated. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other member for their first time? Members for their first time? Members for their first time? Members for their second time? Any member for their second time? All right, I'm going to start with Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. And I think the good Vice Chairman of ACT summed it up pretty well. But really, in Wyoming history, we had dispensing rooms, which minors could not originally be even look at or go in. And so for the past 10 years, we've continued to try to justify what was a room and what wasn't. The real impetus in the last 10 years has been these chain restaurants, primarily, many in my town, who like this concept of having their bar area in the middle of the restaurant. So two of the most popular places in my community, now that I'm thinking three, it's no longer a room. The pouring stations for alcohol is in the middle. And so minors have to, at least in one of the popular restaurants, have to walk through that area to get to the tables in the back. And so areas as much, we've taken out rooms altogether in this bill. Now it's dispensing areas left up to the local licensing authority. And they basically negotiate. Here is where minors are allowed and where they're not. So I honestly don't see that there's a harm in passage of the amendment or in keeping the bill the way it is. But if you want that kind of extra level of sideboard to direct your local licensing authorities when it comes to minors being around alcohol, I think it's a decent amendment to just have that extra layer of emphasis on here's what we're encouraging you to do now that we're giving you a whole lot of control on dictating areas of where liquor can be served and be seen and where it can't be.
Thank you very much. Representative Stith and then Sweeney.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize. I had my hand up by mistake.
Thank you, Representative Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Chairman, the good chairman of Corp's kind of alluded to the bar grill license, which opens up a whole different scenario. But I appreciate what this bill attempts to do. I don't think there's any, in my mind, in a 3-year-old sitting at the bar without any control or resistance. I personally, I don't see that happening in my county. But this, again, with the changes that are here, it gives more local control, and we all agree we'd rather have better local control, and just cleans up some language. So I'm against the amendment, but very much in favor of the bill.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their second time? Second time before the sponsor. Second time before the sponsor. Representative Knapp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the body for a good discussion. But I'd like to clarify a little bit. This amendment is very specific. So the definition of a dispensing area is the mixing or pouring of alcohol, liquors, or malt beverages. And so we're not talking about a delineation between the restaurant portion of an establishment and the bar portion of establishment. This is very specific to the area where the alcohol is mixed or poured. And I believe that area needs to be free in the back of the bar from anybody under 18, and possibly at the bar from anybody under 18. And so this gives local authorities some room in statute to enforce local direction on this from county attorneys. Most establishments that you see nowadays do abide by this. They do not allow underage employees behind the bar or at the bar. I think this just clarifies it specifically and deals with the pouring and mixing area only. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we are voting on third reading amendment number 2 to House Bill 13. All those in favor, please raise your hand to your screen. All those opposed? Chief Clerk, this is going to be too close for me to call, at least based on what I'm seeing on the screen. So please call the roll on third reading amendment number 2.
Andrew,
No.
Baker,
Aye.
Banks,
No.
Bear,
Aye.
Blackburn,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Burkhart,
No.
Burt,
Aye.
Clausen,
No.
Clifford,
No.
Connolly,
No.
Crago,
Aye.
Duncan,
No.
Eklund,
No.
Air,
Aye.
Flitner,
Aye.
Fortner,
No.
Gray,
Aye.
Greer,
Aye.
Hallinan,
No.
Haroldson,
Aye.
Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
No.
Hunt,
No.
Jennings. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Kenner,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
No.
McGuire,
No.
Martinez,
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Newsom,
No.
Nicholas,
No.
Oakley,
No.
Obermuller,
No.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
Aye.
Paxton,
No.
Provenza,
No.
Roscoe,
Excused.
excused. Schwartz,
No.
Sherwood, Sherwood,
No.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stith,
Aye.
Stivar,
Aye.
Sweeney,
No.
Walters,
No.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
No.
Wharf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
No.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. Olson,
Aye to no.
aye to no. Brown,
Aye to no.
aye to no. Further changes. Closing vote. Vote is closed. 31 aye, 28 no, 1 excused.
Thank you. Third reading amendment number 2 has been adopted. House Bill 13, having been read,
There is one more amendment, sir.
I apologize. I'll refresh my screen again.
Mr. Speaker.
Just a moment. Yes.
I would move third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 13 and ask for your favorable consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an amendment on page 13, line 6, and it amends the Committee of Whole amendment. You may recall that there was an amendment that came in that did not allow common carriers to deliver the alcohol. And what this does is says that common carriers can only deliver the alcohol if they comply with a rules, a training course established by the Department of the Liquor Department. So the purpose of this is to broaden who can do the shipping and allow common carriers to do it, so long as they have the staff who are doing the deliveries go through the requisite training, and which trying to make it more of a free market delivery system as long as they follow the rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any members for their first time? Chairman, did you move that? And I apologize. I was trying to find it.
I
Please
believe
move
I
it.
did, but I would move third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 13.
Thank you. We'll go Clausen, Larson, Lloyd, and then Duncan for your first time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to divide the amendment.
No. Next. Okay, what's your division?
So, division, Mr. Chairman, do you find this divisible? That is divisible. Line 1, and then it would be division 1, and then lines 2 through 13 would be division 2, and then I'll give you an explanation if you find it divisible.
Line 1. Representative, I think that line 1 and line 2 are integral to each other.
Or line 1 and 2, then in line 3 through 13.
I guess I don't, they seem to be integral to each other. There's a delete. Representative, your interest is in deleting the standing committee amendment and then adding this language. I don't know that it's possible to do that within this amendment.
Mr. Chairman, line 1 would just simply delete the standing committee amendment by itself, and then line 2, if section 2 or if division 2 failed, it would completely strike the new language. So essentially, line 1 would strike the amendment that we placed on it, and division 2 would add the language.
Okay.
If we split it line 1 versus 2 through 13.
All right, thank you. Just a moment. I'm looking. I've got to look at the bill and the amendment at the same time, so I apologize. You've had a chance to look at this, and I didn't even know the amendment was up. So just give me a moment here. Line 6. There's a little bit of funkiness to the language on line 2, but I do find it divisible. So unless there's an objection to divisibility, we'll proceed. Which line 1 will be
Division 1.
Division 1? And line 2 through 13 will be division 2. Which one would you like to start with, Representative Clausen?
Division 1.
Okay, please proceed on division 1.
Mr. Chairman, so if we simply struck the standing committee amendment, it would do the same thing as inserting all the language in division 2. So I would speak in favor of division 1 and against division 2.
Okay, any member want to speak to division 1? of third reading amendment number 3. So we're on division 1 of third reading amendment number 3. Representative Summers.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And to the good bringer of the division, if it does the same thing, then why do it? So I want to know why the language, if we go back to the original language, why it's better than this language. So please enlighten me.
Thank you, Representative Larson Lloyd. Remember, we're on third reading debate. So as the initiator of the motion, you get your first chance and your last chance. Everybody else gets one or two shots at it. Representative Larson Lloyd.
Mr. Chairman, my concern when we talked about this bill to begin with and the elimination of common carrier was to the point in industry, a common carrier could be any freight company who hauls freight around. And it was kind of implied during the discussion that a common carrier may be somebody that's carrying the mail or delivering packages or just such. And I think what deleting the standing committee amendment or adding the second part of Division 2 of this amendment does is get rid of that and says that if somebody's qualified, if they're a common carrier, meaning they're licensed through the state and through the Federal Transportation Commission to have a common carrier license and meet the qualifications for handling this type of product, they should be able to do so. And so however we do that, if Division 1 deletes that amendment and allows for a common carrier to do that, I think the only difference between this division and the second division is the second division requires them to receive training, whereas the language before did not.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time on Division 1? Members for their first time on Division 1. Chairman Zwanitzer.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. First for a second, because I'm still reading and processing as quick as I can.
Representative Henderson for your first time.
For a second, Speaker, thank you.
Any other member for their first time? Representative Yin for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know what? So this division is specifically about deleting the standing committee amendment, and I think my vote on the standing committee amendment will inform my vote on this division, because I do think that it's not necessary for us to. I'm trying to remember my apologies. I'm trying to remember the arguments from that initial standing committee amendment debate, but I do believe that it's better for us to use a private shipper rather than use a common carrier for these shipments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time? Members, Representative Duncan, first time.
First for a second, please.
Representative Wilson for your first time. Chairman Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And unfortunately, the rust is not fully knocked off. I might have even questioned whether it was actually divisible, because if this actually fails, then and the next one passes, then we will have duplication of sentences. However, just speaking on the deletion in general, actually, I think perhaps my what I have to say is probably about Division 2. I think that we should vote this division down along with the next and maintain it as it is, and I'll speak further on the second division later, I guess. Sorry for the confusion, but as you are correctly determined, it's a little bit wonky. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time on Division 1? First time on Division 1. We're going to second time on Division 1. Second time on Division 1. Representative Larson Lloyd.
Mr. Chairman, I still think I still think that there's just some misunderstanding on the definition, and we don't have the definition for a common carrier and a private carrier. A common carrier is regulated, and it's by law, so they have a designated route, and so I think what this bill contemplates is that, or either way, if you've got what I'm hearing a private carrier, which may be they're going to have to be licensed as a common carrier to do it. And we don't have the definition for private carrier and common carrier in here. So if you rely upon industry standards, the trucking industry standards, these private carriers are probably in reality common carriers. And so I think what they're trying to do is make sure that the people delivering this commodity has the understanding and the training to deliver it appropriately, which is what I think the good chairman of appropriations is trying to do in his amendment. But without the definitions of a private carrier would be if I hired my good colleague from Star Valley to haul this commodity for me as by virtue of a contract. So, and it's, or if I'm hauling my own vehicles, I'm a private carrier. And so I don't know that makes sense to do it that way. And I think we just want to be careful, because I think it will cause some problems for people as they try and figure out who can haul their this commodity and who can't.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their second time? Second time, Representative Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am on and for this amendment, both divisions. One of the problems is what there's confusion about is when we were just talking about the wine shipment directly to our home, that is brought to us by a common carrier. They are required through liability of their own, in order to maintain their license, their ability to continue, is they have to ID anyone under 21 when they bring the package or when they bring the commodity. And if you're not there present when they deliver, they will leave a note. If you're still not there, they will ship the product back to where it originated from. I've had this happen. So if a common carrier has more restrictions and liability to not follow protocol and training. So these are our main ones that deliver our packages when we order things. These are what common carriers are. They have strict rules, and so they will make you sign and ID you if you are not of age, or they won't leave the package. So I highly recommend to vote on and for both divisions.
Thank you. Chairman Zwanitzer, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Still processing, but I think I'm in agreement with the good Vice Chair of Minerals that if we vote yes on this amendment, take out the standing committee amendment for the time being, I think that's a good thing. As I'm thinking about shipping alcohol made here in Wyoming, it could be going anywhere, other states, perhaps a foreign, I don't know if it can even be legally shipped to a foreign country, but I'm just thinking of all the different things that could go on, and putting restrictions in place might be a problem. So I would encourage an aye vote on taking out the standing committee amendment at this time. As we all know, this bill may go to the other body and they could try to fix it as well a little better than this amendment does, but I don't know how to fix it without taking out the standing committee amendment. So I'd encourage your aye vote.
Further members for their second time. Further members for their second time. To the sponsor, Representative Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there is a bunch of confusion about this portion of statute, and this would be a major shift from the current policy and the control method. So right now, the only person that can deliver anything but wine to the consumer's door would be the liquor store. And if we, speaking to Division 1, if we get rid of Division 1, that would put enough ambiguity in the law that it would stay pretty close. This has been done on an AG's opinions in the 60s. It's just common practice, but it wasn't codified, and that's why we put this portion in the bill. If we move on to the second half of this amendment, then we're making a major policy shift, which allows a third party that's not the liquor store or our local business to deliver in Wyoming, which I think we want to think about that. But for now, on and for Division 1.
All right, thank you, members. We're voting on Division 1 to third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 13. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. Division has been adopted. We're on Division 2. Representative Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Division 2 allows a commercial carrier, which there are now internet commercial carriers that do this, that go and get food or go and get beverages. Current law limits that to strictly the liquor store, so they have trained personnel. This portion of the amendment would open that up so common carriers can deliver alcohol. So it gets rid of a portion of our control state rules. So I'd speak on and against Division 2.
Thank you very much. Representative Duncan and then Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully push back. I believe it's the opposite is true. When you have a private carrier, that would be the companies on an app that you can order and such, and that is the type of is considered private. Common is your regular package delivery and such. So I believe it's the opposite. So I am going to please request that you vote yes for this division.
Thank you very much. Representative Summers, then Haroldson, then Zwanitzer.
Mr. Speaker, I'm good. Thank you. I had the same question. The good representative from Torrington kind of helped answer it, and I suspect the good chair of that committee will also answer that same question I had.
Representative Haroldson next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had a question. So obviously we're in a new world in a new way. And so like Grubhub and that type of stuff, if we're not careful.
Just a caution.
Sorry.
Representative Haroldson, just a caution not to mention names of businesses or corporations, etc. Please continue.
My apologies. So the different businesses that are around for delivery of food items, if we're not careful, would we allow them to deliver alcoholic beverages as well? Would this open up a world that we don't want to get into? So I guess just a question that I have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Haroldson. Quite a bit of echo in your mic this last time when you spoke.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Please proceed.
I believe we need to have anybody who's in the chamber make sure that their microphone is muted. As it was coming across when Representative Haroldson was talking, it showed Representative Nyman was speaking as well. So I believe what we're getting with that feedback is anybody in the chamber that can hear each other talk.
Thank you for that assistance. Chairman Zwanitzer, and I'm trying to mute mine as well. So Chairman Zwanitzer, for your first time on Division 2, and then it'll be Representative Larson-Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to ask you to vote no on Division 2, not because I don't like the concept, but when you look at this area of law, this is applying to everyone. So all of your microbrewery permit holders and your winery permit holders, and those with satellite locations who are manufacturing And as I'm thinking about where some of these distilleries and wineries are, they're not always on major routes. And so to put the onus on them to figure out who's carrying their product and making sure through the department rules that it's going in a proper way, and that carrier, I don't know if I'm the winery, I guess I could contract with the only person in town and force them to carry my product, or drive it, to the nearest larger city and try to get it shipped in a different way. It just seems onerous, and for some of the smaller microbreweries and winery permit holders, for the few we have in Wyoming, I think I'm more comfortable in not putting this language in statute, letting the department do its rules and regs and provide flexibility, because this does affect everyone, not just the retail liquor establishments, but all of your permit holders. And that worries me, that we would put some requirements on them in statute that I think the department through rule and reg could change easier and have a better understanding of ensuring we're meeting some of the federal laws in this regard. When you have to have, I know in the revenue committee, we talked about nicotine products being delivered, and there's several federal acts that we have to comply with for signature verification. So I think it's better just to leave it all out, let the department do rules and regs, work with the liquor distributors and the association, and find the right path forward without us adding this in statute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vice Chairman Larson Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I like this second amendment, and the reason I like it is because it helps if you've got, and I don't care if it's wine or some other commodity in the state, and if you're a common carrier, you're licensed with authority to provide that service to the public or person, and it's a person or it's a company, and they're responsible for the loss of the goods during transportation and to comply with all regulations governing that commodity. Now, if I happen to be a winery and I want to haul my own product to the people that are going to sell it, then that would make me a private carrier. But if I'm doing it for services or for contract to somebody, then I have to be licensed as a common carrier. And so if we allow this to take place, and I'm in, Fort Washakie, Wyoming, in a winery, and I want to deliver, I may not want to deliver my product myself to someplace else in the state or interstate, because you have to have interstate authority to do that, unless you're the common carriers would have. A private carrier, I guess you could do that as well. So I think that this gives more flexibility to those. I think what the good Vice Chairman of Minerals pointed out is accurate, and I think that this really opens the door and allows flexibility. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, my question back to the presenter of this second division is, he referred to the liquor division delivering that commodity around the state. So do we as a state, because I don't know this, own a fleet of trucks then and employ? I'm seeing some nods from some dog rescuers that isn't the case, and I just wasn't aware of that. So the state's kind of its own private carrier. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Chairman Nicholas, for your first time, Division 2.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, on and against Division 2, because it doesn't make sense anymore from our previous actions. If you go to the second part, lines 4 through 13, it basically deals only with common carriers. If you go back to page 12 and look at what we're talking about, that's Romanet I, line 14. We're talking about package sales and deliveries from liquor stores. Common carriers are not going to be responsible for package deliveries from liquor stores. And so really the whole language now doesn't make sense. The language is incorporated only in those instances where common carriers were being eliminated from the capability of deliveries. And actually, so now it just doesn't make sense the way it's written. So on and against, I request you vote no on Division 2.
Thank you. Any other member for their first time Division 2? First time Division 2. Representative Sweeney.
Just thank you, Mr. Speaker. A point of clarification, the state doesn't own a fleet of trucks. We contract that out with a common carrier. That's commonplace in the state. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Anyone else for their first time? Majority Floor Leader Summers.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. And the bringer of the good amendment, now I'm confused, I guess, by what he just said. I thought, and that maybe this is a question, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, to you, is did we not pass Division 1? So if we pass Division 1 and we pass Division 2, we have in essence passed the entire amendment that the good chairman of appropriations brought. So my question, I guess, to the good chairman of appropriations is if we did pass Division 1, then what's changed in his mind why he would not want to pass this entire amendment, which would be done if we pass Division 2. So I just need some clarification. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Chairman Olson.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly where I'm at as well. I recall that we passed Division 1, thus removing the standing committee amendment, which was necessary to insert the new language, which is Division 2, lines 4 through 13. So maybe the good chairman of appropriations can clarify which direction he wants us to take on his amendment, because I thought that if we adopted, I'm in the same boat. If we vote aye right now and adopt Division 2, we have adopted the entire amendment. That's my reading, at least.
Any other member for their first time? Any other member for the first time? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do believe that's exactly what we're looking at here, because we've adopted Division 1. So theoretically and logically, we would want to adopt Division 2 if the bringer of the original amendment wanted that. So, but I do want to say that I have concerns about the chairman of appropriations did bring up I'm sorry, not appropriations, but the chairman of corporations brought up the idea of allowing this a little bit more flexibility with rule and regs. And some of the stuff that I've seen happen recently within the liquor division, I'm not so certain that I want to leave up to chance, that I want to have outside influence have a potential influence on who can and cannot deliver these. I think if we set this in statute and we say what can happen in statute, I think we have a better chance of making sure that this gets done correctly. There's just, unfortunately, unless you're involved in this on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of things that happen on the outside that none of us really see and or hear. So I think it's imperative that we have this language in there. I think this is a very good amendment, and this allows for these common carriers to come in. And as long as they abide by the rules and regulations that they're set forth with federal rules, they should be all right. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do appreciate it.
You are muted, sir.
Sorry, I was trying to take care of the feedback, help take care of the feedback issue. Members, if you would like to refresh your amendment page, there is another amendment on this bill. Chairman Zwanitzer, for your second time.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. And I wanted to beat the Vice Chairman of Minerals to the punch, because my understanding of where all of this came from, I'm still going to ask you to vote no, because what we have done right now is take the bill back to how it came last week before, I guess 2 weeks ago, before we put a standing committee amendment on it as a new committee. It was my understanding that this debate was had several times in the interim over common contract carrier language, and it was taken out at the final meeting based on the previous members of the Corporations Committee, although some of them remain on the other side who have strong feelings on this. And so right now, I like where we're at if we vote no on part 2, that it takes it back to the original bill that came to the legislature from the interim committee. But I know we have another amendment now, but I would continue to ask you to vote no at this time.
Thank you. And members, actually should have given a last call on first time. So a little bit out of decorum, but if anybody wanted to go for a first time, I overlooked, I apologize. Anyone for a first time. So we'll continue with second time. Second time before the sponsor, the divider. Second time before the divider. Second time to Representative Clausen.
Mr. Chairman, that was my point in this amendment exactly, as I think it wasn't pointed at its intention.
Representative Clausen, would you pull your mic down closer to your, there you go.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Chairman?
Please proceed.
That was my point with this, is I don't think it was pointed at, it was direct. The amendment didn't do exactly what the intention of the bringer intended, which what this amendment actually did would allow a common carrier to deliver directly to the consumer. And this is the direct to consumer portion. And that's why I would speak against Division 2.
Okay, members, we're voting on Division 2 to third reading amendment number 3 to House Bill 13. All those in favor of Division 2, please raise your hand. All those opposed?
Mr. Speaker, this is Representative Roscoe.
Representative Roscoe.
Oh, okay. I only have a voicemail. I would vote against this if I can without a video.
Per Rule 23, thank you, members. Per Rule 23, Representative Roscoe, you have to have a live video feed to have a recorded vote. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I apologize, but I'm going to move. Wilson the internet is down, and so I'm moving to Jackson. Thank you very much.
I don't know how long it takes to move if you're packing all your belongings, but have a safe travel. So members, Division 2 has failed. Division 2 has failed. My apologies as I left you hang with your hands up there quite a while. So we're back on the bill. We have another amendment for your consideration. Third reading amendment number 4. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 4 to House Bill 13. Ask for favorable consideration. Apologize to the body. There's been a lot of amendments here. This would repeal the added fee for the special malt beverage permit. It's pretty much a policy choice. We added this into statute a couple years ago for public auditoriums, civic centers, event centers. This has been in statute, and now all of a sudden we're adding a fee. And I just don't think that's appropriate. And so it's a policy choice. Bringing this amendment, ask for favorable consideration. I think we should just remove it. These are for temporary settings, and I don't think we need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gray. Any member want to speak to this amendment for their first time? Any member want to speak to this for their first time? Finally, some quiet in the chamber. Anyone want to speak for their first time? Representative Wilson, then Yin, then Larson, then Zwanitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question, rather, not being in this area. Is this simply putting in statute the clear authorization to collect a fee, or are they collecting a fee now for a permit and it's just not in statute? And if they are collecting a fee now, could I know how much the fee is? Thank you.
Representative Yin for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to the bringer of the amendment, I'm curious if there are lots of special beverage permits, how much does this cost our licensing authorities? And how would he like to pay the licensing authorities to conduct these special permits without a fee? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Larson Lloyd for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I read it back to the good chairman from Labor, as the city or town can issue a special malt leverage permit, and then new language says that they can establish, the licensing authority can establish the appropriate fee for that permit. And this amendment would do away with requiring a permit or establish or having a fee. I would encourage us to vote against this amendment. I think that for towns to issue a permit and then have a fee for that permit is reasonable. I think that whether it be a rodeo, an athletic activity, or some type of other recreational, those local municipalities want to be able to make sure that it's done in compliance with local ordinances, and having a permit to do so seems appropriate. And having a fee for that permit, I think, is within line as well. So I'd encourage a no vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll have Chairman Zwanitzer, then Newsom, then Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And so I look at this the other way. When we put this statute in 4 years ago, this was really when you wanted to have almost always a nonprofit civic event of some type hosting a function. Let's say you have a symphony orchestra concert at your civic center, and during intermission you want to have some wine. Right now they're paying a catering permit fee, and that fee is up to your local licensing authority. They get so many and charge a fee. I would say in this case, what we're allowing is if it's a nonprofit who's holding a nonprofit event and they want to, get a free permit to be able to, or a super reduced permit, shall we say, to be able to serve some wine at their event for a nonprofit large fundraiser, shall we say, this would allow that and not have to have the local licensing authority charge them the full price for a permit. So it would allow some flexibility depending on what the event is to charge that appropriate fee. Perhaps it could be used for nefarious reasons to charge a much higher fee. For some reason, I can't imagine, a city or a county, a local licensing authority would do that. But I do think in many cases they would reduce the fee for a malt beverage permit or a catering permit for some type of special event their community's holding. Let's say it's even brought by the city or the county. So I think it allows flexibility for local government to establish a fee based on the event without being beholden to state policy. So I would ask you to vote no on the amendment.
Representative Newsom for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Up here in Buffalo Bill Country, our city has malt beverage permits, and they cost $30 for an event, and you're limited to having 12 a year, which seems reasonable. So the price seems reasonable and the number of events seems reasonable, and that's how it happens up here to address the good representative chairman of health. I'm against this amendment. I think the way it is currently structured in the bill is good. Thank you.
Chairman Olson, and then Representative Sweeney for your first times.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm on and against the amendment. I think the good chairman of corporations summed up what I wanted to talk about, and I just want to take it maybe just one step deeper so the body fully understands the understands the amendment, at least from the way that I read it. It's not just about a fee, because this statute, we're deleting the entire statute section, not just the licensing authority fee portion, because the amendment, the amendment is page 30, lines 1 through 13. So this statute is also what, and I think the chairman of Good Corporation said this, but just to really pull it out, the statute authorizes the county, city, or town to issue the special permit. So it's not just that they have the authority to have a fee, but the authority to issue it. So unless I'm reading it wrong, you wouldn't just eliminate a fee, you would eliminate the possibility of it being issued regardless of whatever that fee is, $1, $30, $0. And so that's where my reservation comes in, is that it's not just it's not just addressing the fee, but the ability to issue the special malt beverage permit, which I don't think we want to eliminate the ability to have those for the good reasons that were noted. I think of the civic organizations or the fundraiser or the symphony or whatever it may be that needs it for that temporary occasion. That's exactly what the purpose of the statute is. So on and against the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Gray?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. We drafted this, it was supposed to just be the added language. So I'm going to go ahead and withdraw the amendment because it's supposed to just be the added language. So you're correct. And I respectfully withdraw third reading amendment number 4 to House Bill 13.
Thank you very much, Representative Gray. Sometimes this happens, ladies and gentlemen. So now, House Bill 13, having been read, first, Chief Clerk, are there any more amendments?
No, sir.
Thank you. House Bill 13, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan. Duncan. Eklund.
No.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
No.
Greer. Was that an aye, sir?
Aye.
Thank you. Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
No.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
No.
Henderson. Henderson.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
No.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez. Nyman.
No.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe excused. Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
No.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivart.
No.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Washit.
No.
Western.
Aye.
Worf.
Aye.
Williams.
No.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Ginn.
Aye.
Sawanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 49 aye, 10 no, 1 excused.
Members, House Bill 13, having received an affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 13 has passed the House. Next bill for our third reading bill is House Bill 34.
House Bill 34, sponsored by Judiciary, Youthful Offender Program Amendments, an act relating to the Youthful Offender Program.
I don't even want to vote.
Be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Thank you. House Bill 34 has no amendments. House Bill 34, having received affirmative vote of the majority of the member, I'm sorry. House Bill 34, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart. Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
No.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
No.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller. Obermuller.
Aye.
Aye. O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe excused. Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stith.
Aye.
Stivar.
No.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Washit. Washit.
Excused.
Excused. Western.
Aye.
Wharf.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Yin.
Aye.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes?
So whenever. She's gone from 12.
Representative Ottman, would you please mute your mic? Thank you.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 55 aye, 3 no, 2 excused.
House Bill 34, having received an affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 34 has passed the House. Next third reading bill we have is House Bill 42. Chief Clerk.
House Bill 42, sponsored by Blockchain Financial Technology and Digital Innovation Technology, Chancery Court Vacancy Amendments, an act relating to courts, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Thank you. We do have an amendment. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 42 and ask for favorable consideration. So what this amendment would do, and it goes back to our conversation from yesterday, is we're moving back the Chancery Court date in this bill currently to 2020.
Mr. Chairman?
I didn't see who it was. Representative.
Mr. Chairman, this is Representative Walters, and I'd like to call a point of order on this amendment.
Okay, what's your point, Representative?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe, or Mr. Speaker, excuse me, I apologize for that. Mr. Speaker, I don't believe this amendment is germane to this bill.
All right, so members, this might, please continue. So continue with your point, just so that the bringer of the amendment can respond, and I can make a ruling or call a rules committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In lines 1 through 3 of the on page 1, the title of this bill is an act relating to courts amending requirements for filling Chancery Court vacancies. Nowhere in the title does it, and adding an effective date, nowhere does it discuss anything about construction. Nowhere does it discuss anything about space. Nowhere does it discuss in that title expending of funds. And so to me, there is nothing in this title that relates to this this amendment that is being presented. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So members, oftentimes this is where we would have a rules committee. And so I am going to rule in favor of the point of order that the title does not include the language that is being proposed. And it is certainly Representative Gray's option to ask for a rules committee to further discuss and advise the presiding officer. So I'm going to rule that it is not germane to the bill. Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I mean, we could just have the vote in the body. I guess I would respectfully object to the ruling of the chair, and you know, I don't really need a rules committee if we can just have the body vote on it and debate on it. I'm happy to do that just for time.
All right, thank you very much. So Chief Clerk, is it appropriate just to do a hand vote on the sustaining the chairman's ruling would be an aye vote, and to overturn the chairman's ruling would be a no vote? Would that be accurate?
Yes, sir.
So members, we're going to vote on
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Representative Gray.
It is debatable though, and I would like to say something. I mean, so I appeal.
Okay, please.
Here, I would like to say something.
Please proceed. My apologies. Please proceed with before we go to a vote on the motion. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So this gets to a lot of the problems we have on the single subject issue in this chamber, and I think it'll probably come up a couple times. And it deals with, and it frankly is not handled in a reciprocal way, in my opinion. And you look at a bill title and amend something, and the bill title can be viewed very, very, very narrowly, okay, without any room but for debate or any ability to really bring amendments besides deleting certain sections. But the reality is that, you know, amending requirements for filling Chancery Court vacancies, that clearly involves the space that they're going to fill. And that's obvious that a physical space would involve, you know, you have a person, you have to decide whether they're going to be in a physical space. I'm here, and that's an issue with the headphones, I'm here in the break room at the House chamber. So if you're going to amend the filling of a Chancery Court vacancy, it's implied there that you can also amend the space, the parameters of the space that they're going to be in. And I think it's pretty obvious that it's within the subject there. So respect the ruling, but I just want to have the vote, and I would ask, I believe it's a no vote on sustaining the decision of the chair. I think that's the way it would be structured. So thank you.
So certainly anybody else would like to weigh in on this. The good representative is correct. If you vote aye, then you are agreeing with the chairman's ruling that it is not germane to the bill. If you are voting no, then you are voting to proceed with the amendment. I have Representative Summers, Olson, Larson, Lloyd. We're going to, members, we're going to treat this just like third reading debate rules. So the member got his first, and then there'll be first time and a second time. Thank you. Summers, Olson, Larson. Representative Summers for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I support sustaining your ruling. So I vote for an aye. And the reason is, and just for the new people, when you think of the title of the bill, you really have to look at, you know, that portion which says that an act relating to courts amending requirements for filling Chancery Court vacancies and providing for an effective date. Anytime we bring facilities or money into a bill, it will be in that title. And with all due respect to the bringer of this amendment, I do not think it's germane to the bill. And for that reason, I will vote to sustain the speaker's ruling.
Representative Olson, for your first time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I'm on and in favor of sustaining the ruling of the chair, and I wanted to make a few points, and then I'll close with a little bit of education maybe for the body, because this is a unique and new process, I think, for a lot of the newer members and even for returning members. But to begin with, I really want to drive home the point of the necessity and the sanctity, really, of the single subject requirement in Wyoming. It is all that is right with Wyoming and all that is wrong with Washington, D.C. I mean, that's the reality. If we didn't have this constraint within the bill title, that in order to bring something else into a bill, that it must be germane to the bill title, then our bills would be hundreds and thousands of pages long, and we wouldn't know what they say until we passed them. You've heard that before. And that's Washington, D.C., that's not Wyoming. So I really respect this process. Nothing against the bringer of the amendment that happens. You bring amendments, that's the goal, that's the process, but we also have rules. We have rules for a reason, and I think they make really good sense in Wyoming. And I want to close with, just for the newer members, because we didn't go to the process of the Rules Committee. Instead, we're debating whether we are upholding the chairman's decision or not. That we could have had a Rules Committee meeting, and we would have had a vote inside of that committee based on whether this is germane or not. So just so that's clear, that there is always an opportunity to be heard when there is a rules question or a rules issue, and it would typically take place in that fashion. And then you can always end where we are now, which is whether you're going to sustain the ruling of the chair or overturn the ruling of the chair. Mr. Speaker, I do support sustaining the ruling of the chair. This is not germane to the bill title, and I do think we should respect the sanctity of the bill title. Thank you.
Am I up, Mr. Chairman?
My apologies. Representative Larson, and then Representative Jennings, and then Conley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The good majority whip, in a much better way, said the points that I was hoping to make on the importance of a single subject and avoiding having Washington, D.C. come to Wyoming. And I appreciate sustaining the good speaker's ruling on this.
Thank you, Representative Jennings. First time.
Yeah, I'm not for sustaining the chair's ruling. And right there in line 1, it says amending requirements. And so this is putting forward an amendment to the requirements for filling a chancery court. I don't see how it is not germane to it. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Conley, and then Chairman Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too am on and in favor of sustaining the ruling of the chair. When I serve on Rules Committee and we have this issue, I bring up not only the amendment, but the bill itself. And I'd like to see how the description of the bill is effectuated in the rest of the bill. When we take a look at what this bill does, we see entire chapter 5 is about how positions are filled, salaries. There is nothing about space. So to me, when you take a look at this in its total, even though I do agree with the good bringer that bodies need space, there is nothing in this particular chapter about our courts themselves. It is about the personnel. So I too am in favor of sustaining the ruling from the chair.
Chairman Harshman, and then Representative Hallinan and Washut. Chairman Harshman, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And yeah, and I appreciate the bringer. He's pushing the envelope. obviously, and I think that's what we do as legislators. We're trying to get things done and move our ideas forward. But I think Article 3, Section 24, single subject is very clear, and I think folks have said it very well. And I think this bill's title is written very clearly. And I think the good minority floor leader also brought up the remaining parts of the statute. So in strong support of the chair's ruling. I think it was absolutely correct. And the beauty of this process is the body always rules, you know, so we're going to decide this as a body. We decide the constitutionality and all those things of it. So, but I encourage your aye vote to support the speaker and his ruling. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Hallinan, first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to the chair's ruling. The reason for that is I think it's irrelevant to discuss what happens in Congress because there the bills are unrelated. The amendments are unrelated to the original meaning of the bill. Now, this amendment has clear relation to this idea of the Chancery Courts. And I think for that reason that we should support the opposition of this. I think we should support this amendment's discussion. And I think we should do that now, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Washut, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I looked at the case law on this topic, the judiciary has suggested to us that this provision is there to prevent discordant or dissimilar topics from coming under one umbrella. It mentioned that there had to be a common tie between the two. And the court also said that this interpretation should be done liberally and reasonably. So I think that there is some latitude, and while the language might seem clearer to some than to others, I don't think that this amendment is so far afield that we couldn't say that it has a tie to the topic of the bill.
Thank you. Representative Worf, then Yin.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize. I have not been able to pull up the bills with the appropriate numbering, but I will say that if you look just below the list of the sponsored by, it does say a bill for, and it says an act relating to courts. And therefore, I must admit, I think this amendment addresses the Chancery Court, and therefore I think that it should be allowed. So I would also speak in opposition to the ruling of the chair or the speaker. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Representative Worf. Representative Yin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I speak in favor of sustaining the ruling of the chair. And when contemplating on whether this amendment is germane, I was considering what other amendments along this line would be considered germane or not germane. So for example, if I had an amendment to sponsor, if I sponsored an amendment that considered creating an appropriation to create a court, I think that's similar, if maybe just a flip of the considered amendment. I would definitely rule that is not germane. And so as such, I'm also going to agree with the ruling of the chair that this is not a germane amendment and will vote to sustain the ruling of the chair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any other member for their first time? Any other member for their first time? Members for their first time. Representative Sweeney, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to thank you for the discussion. I'm not a newbie, but I sure learned a lot in this discussion, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Representative Sweeney. Any other member for their first time? Member for their first time. Representative Haroldson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will say I'm obviously very new to this and I don't have a background in this, but I'm looking at it and I do believe just from a 30,000 foot view that this, I feel this does have some validity to what we're talking about. I mean, the concern right now where we're at financially as a state, this is saying, hey, we can move forward with the conversation, but we're not going to allow any funding to go into the conversation. To that way, it keeps it as a conversation instead of a movement. So I do believe that maybe there's some validity to this concept, and I believe that we need to move forward with protecting bills from getting funded that shouldn't be funded yet, just due to the nature of our financial status as a state. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman Wilson, first time. Chairman Wilson, you're still on mute.
Beg your pardon, and I was doing so well this morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would support the ruling of the chair, and I will just say that being on Rules Committee, one of the challenges always is being able to divide out whether or not I like the amendment from whether or not it is germane. There are many times standing up around the speaker's chair when I have really been fond of what something was trying to do, but still felt that it wasn't germane. And I do think, the discussion of, the federal issue, those of us look at the U.S. Constitution, and we've got that section in there called the elastic clause, and elasticity can lead to a lot of interesting places. So I have to say that just because the word court is in the title, it would sauce for the goose and sauce for the gander. If we decide that anytime we do anything related to court, we can pile it into something, I think that leads in not a very good place. And the fact that funding was not contemplated in this, we can see because it was never re-referred to appropriations, because it didn't have to do with the appropriation in terms of changing dollar amounts. So I think we just don't want to go there. Sometimes we have to take something that we're maybe not that fond of in favor of keeping a tight rein on things. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I say, I vote to support the ruling of the chair.
Thank you, Chairman Wilson. Any other member for their first time? Member for their first time. Representative Ramiro Martinez, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to rise in favor of sustaining the ruling of the chair. As a newbie in the House, I know that I had some passions on some issues that I wanted to bring through, and our good helpers and staff that are in the office adjacent to our respective offices, notwithstanding those who are in their office or home here in the Capitol, they mentioned something similar to this to me in regards to the bill I was going to bring. Not bringing up any issues, but just the idea of being parallel. And I just want to encourage the good bringer of the bill to consider the guidance of what I think I heard was maybe altering the title to relate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Bear, for your first time.
Mr. Speaker, and I apologize. Looks like Representative O'Hearn he's tried to raise his hand. I don't know if he's trying to get in or maybe he's just waving, but
okay,
I just wanted to make sure you saw him, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I will get to him after Representative Bear. Representative Bear and then O'Hearn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second.
Thank you. Representative O'Hearn, did you want to testify?
I drive past this building almost every day. I thought it was already under construction and that a court and a couple of offices were already dedicated to it. So I think this is a little bit too late of an amendment.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Not forget to recognize the chair, and just like I'll recognize you, Representative O'Hearn. Thank you. Any other member for their first time? Members for their first time. First time, going once, two, three. Any member for their second time? I have Representative Larson Lloyd.
Mr. Chairman, fun discussion, great discussion. And would, for those who've been here for a while, we're all kind of smiling because we've sat in that same seat where amendments we've brought have been challenged and sometimes we're ruled against. And so extend good move to, and I support the decision of the chair, and just acknowledge what a good process is to have this debate, and it won't be the last time.
It might be. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Larson. Any other member for their second time? Member for their second time. I should say we can only hope it's the last time. Any other member for their second time? Second time. I'll get to you, Representative Gray. I'm not trying to get past you. Seeing none, Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And you know, just want to be clear on the front end here. There's no disrespect to you. I know you probably understand that. I'm bringing this because, and I challenge it because I think this rule has been misapplied many times in this House, and I think it has really negative effects for our process. So you think about what's happening here now. We had this Chancery Court. We created it. They went ahead and moved forward with this space, which frankly wasn't contemplated in the original bill, but it was kind of vague. So then they came up with the money to add this space. Now we're pulling back, saying we're going to look at whether we're going to do this, but the space is moving forward. Now that's something Washington, D.C. would do. We're going to pay for this space, and we're not even sure if we're moving forward with it. And in the bill to wait to move forward with it, we can't even talk about the space because of the way this rule is interpreted. That's something Washington would do. It's wasteful, it's wrong, it's inefficient, it's nowhere near in what the founders, when they considered that, when they talk about germaneness in the Constitution, they'd be really troubled with where this has gone. If you want to look at the pure reading on the bill title, it says amending requirements for filling Chancery Court vacancies. This is a requirement for filling a Chancery Court vacancy. It's a place where someone would be if they're a member of the Chancery Court. You can't exist if you're not in a place. So it's a requirement around that vacancy. So even if you're going to look at the pure reading, it's fine. But you know, so on this Washington thing, the misapplication of this, I'm afraid, is leading us down the road to Washington. And that's why I'm bringing this. And I would urge a no vote on sustaining the chair. We meet clearly the title of the bill, but pulling back the actual Chancery Court and not pulling back the building and not even allowing that debate within that bill title and saying it's not germane, that can't be right. And it gets back to Representative Washat's, the representative from Casper's point that this is meant to prevent log rolling, unrelated things. You talk about these omnibus bills that I think have germaneness problems move forward. This is not a germaneness problem. Clearly the space they're going to be in is clearly relevant to the Chancery Court. And to say that we're going to lock out any discussion of the space on a bill after the authorizing piece of legislation in a bill to postpone the creation of the court, that can't be right. It can't be. And if that is, that's I'm afraid we are going down the road to Washington. And I know I'm getting emotional here, but I just, the application of this rule, I don't think it's been done correctly in this body. So that's why I brought this, and I'd urge a no vote. Thank you.
All right, members, so we are voting on the chair's ruling regarding the germaneness of this bill as was brought by a point of order. So if you vote aye, you are agreeing with the chairman, and the amendment will be is disposed of. If you vote no, then we will continue with the amendment. So all those in favor of sustaining the chair's ruling, please raise your hand to your screen. All those opposed? The chair's ruling is sustained. Members, House Bill 42, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Do we need to have that amendment withdrawn first?
I guess that's a tidy up thing. So Representative Gray, would you please, based on the ruling of the vote of the body, would you please withdraw the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully withdraw third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 42.
Thank you, Representative Gray. House Bill 42, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
No.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
No.
Burkhart.
No.
Burt.
No.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
No.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
No.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Hirschman.
Aye. Thank you.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
No.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Repeat, please. I still couldn't hear you. Repeat, please. Sherwood.
Aye.
Thank you. Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivar.
Aye.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Washit.
Aye.
Western.
Aye.
Wharf.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Yin.
Aye.
Zawanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker.
Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 53 aye, 7 no.
Okay. The next.
House Bill, I'll just finish up, Speaker Pro Tem. House Bill 42, having received an affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 42 2 has passed the House. Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
The next bill for our consideration is House Bill 44. The reading clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 44, sponsored by Select Water, Omnibus Water Bill Construction, an act relating to water development projects, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
Okay, we do have an amendment. Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Temp. I would move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 44 and ask for your favorable consideration. And with all due respect to the dozens of emails that I've received about this amendment, I represent the people in my district and not big industry. So this to me, what this amendment does is deletes the cloud seeding projects in the Medicine Bow and the Wind River Mountains. This to me is nothing more than man-made climate change. And I feel that as legislators, I think we need to send a message that the state does not endorse this. If private industry wants to continue with this program, there's nothing that's going to prohibit them from doing that. Going back to some of the discussions that we had a couple of days ago about this issue and the increase in the benefit that we've seen from this project, the 10-15% increase, I don't believe that there really has been sufficient results to really say that a control has been established to really justify those results, saying that we've received that increase in our snowpack. I really feel like when we artificially do this, we're impacting the downwind slopes much more, and that snow would have very easily gone downwind. So again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. It's 1.35 million roughly. And speaking with the with staff, it appears that we can, for about $25,000, we can break the program down. This amendment doesn't do that. The next amendment does. But again, Mr. Chairman, on and in favor of the amendment, on and in favor of not supporting man-made climate change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, for discussion, I'm in Representative Stith.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. On and against the amendment, I think I in the past have typically thought of cloud seeding as benefiting primarily the ag sector, but as it turns out, the trona industry in my area of the state benefits from this too, because it needs water from the Green River, and it's being relatively newer industry dating from the 1950s. It's in the scheme of water rights, it has junior rights. And so at the margins, it makes more difference. So I appreciate the comments yesterday from the representative from District 5 about the economics of this and the $11 or so per acre of water. I think it deserves study to further connect the dots to see exactly how much economic benefit we get for each dollar we're spending on cloud seeding. But I think we should keep this and on against the amendment.
Okay, I've got people written down in order, but everybody raised their hand at the same time, so my order is going to have to stand. Representative Summers, or Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, thank you. On and against the amendment. You know, if this technique didn't work, big ski areas to the state to the south of us wouldn't put tons of money into this. So it works. So then if it works, what does it matter? Why should we do this? In 2026, the Bureau of Reclamation, they will issue basically they're going to issue a new rule on how to run the big reservoirs that run the Colorado River. And in that will determine the fate for the upper basin and the lower basin states. Any opportunity we have to enhance water in this system will only benefit Wyoming citizens, Wyoming towns, and Wyoming industries. So you think about my little water right on the Green River, it's old. It's not going to be impacted when the thing gets dry. What's going to be impacted is exactly what the last speaker said. It's going to be the trona industry. It's going to be the city here in the capital, who has a large water right out of that Colorado River system. So this is just one effort that we can do to help aid what is going to be a real problem, what is a problem, and will continue to be a problem in the drying of the Colorado River Basin. So I urge your defeat of this amendment and the support of cloud seeding.
Okay. Members, let's be sensitive of our time and let's try to avoid duplication in our testimony so we move forward. Representative Heiner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I'm on and against this amendment as well. We have industry that relies heavily upon this water source, not only the Trona, but also our coal power plants in this area and in this part of Wyoming. They believe enough in this this procedure that they are putting money on the line. They are paying 2/3 of the cost. So they have skin in the game and they believe enough that they put money on the line. So I think we need to support our industries, and I am against this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Larson. Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too am against this amendment. Definitely, this is too important to our state. Any amount of water that we can generate in some way is so important. And like it is said before, this is pretty cheap water to try to get, less than $22 an acre foot. I also want to comment that the lower Colorado, lower basin part of the Colorado states actually give the northern or the upper part like $1.5 million. So they are providing the bulk of these dollars that are used amongst the other states, Colorado and Utah. So Wyoming's small amount in the Colorado River for sure is not very much.
Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too am against this petition or the amendment. I believe that there's an aspect to this that we have not really looked at as a body, and I think that is fire control that results out of this cloud seeding as well as numerous other things. Thank you.
Representative Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On and against the amendment as well. I won't belabor the point. This is incredibly important to the Trona industry in my part of Wyoming and all of Wyoming. As we are witnessing our changing economy across the state, it's more and more imperative that we support Trona, which is one of the most stable economy, or one of the most stable markets here in the county, in this state. So I would encourage you to vote no against this amendment.
Is there any member with their hand up who isn't against the amendment and whose opinions couldn't be adequately expressed by Representative Simpson, who I'm calling on? Representative Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, cloud seeding is a proven technology. The professional hydrologists have projected that by this investment, we'll receive 28,000 acre feet of water as a result of cloud seeding this year. That's significant. The cloud seeding is identified as one of the 3 primary elements of the Upper Colorado River Basin Drought Contingency Plan. It's important to our state. I encourage you to defeat this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. I guess briefly, with all due respect to the bringer of the amendment, I honestly can say I don't think I've ever heard of cloud seeding referred to as man-made climate change. And just to, if it hasn't been made clear yet by other speakers, both in this discussion today and over the last day or so, cloud seeding is not a magic technology. It only works under specific conditions that can be measured and can be forecasted. And it is in incremental increases to precipitation that this technology contributes. And so it is never going to be
this magic shifting, of the climate as a whole. You are never going to use cloud seeding to make the Sahara Desert bloom like the Garden of Eden. And so it is not, these are incremental changes to climate patterns and weather patterns that have already been predicted as these fronts move through and over these mountain ranges. They can look and say, okay, this storm front's moving in, get the planes up and do the cloud seeding, and that will increase what hopefully the precipitation that is already expected to fall. So it is, just to be clear, it is not a drastic shift in the weather patterns that are already currently expected to move through the area that's being affected. And I would remind the body that Wyoming, as part of the Colorado River Compact, while we don't have some of the volume of water that other states downstream get, and while we may not see quite as much of the direct benefit as far as agricultural use and so forth, we are the linchpin to this entire thing, because the Green River and the mountain ranges that feed the Green River they are absolutely vital to the benefits that accrue downstream. And so, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I'll wrap that up, and I went a little longer than I'd expected, but thank you.
Thank you. Representative Roscoe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just have a quick question for the Director of Select Water. If I could get a little clarification on the cost sharing aspect of this cloud seeding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First for a second.
Okay, Representative Eklund, or Chairman Eklund.
I guess I'm on. So I'll be as brief as I can. I'm not going to offer any more, try to educate anymore, but I believe it is a proven deal that we have other man-made things that Wyoming does that could be considered fairly unnatural and are by some folks are reservoirs. Without some way of developing and storing water, Wyoming's dead. And as far as who are you representing? Do you represent, I don't represent a single person who doesn't use water. And that's what this whole thing is about. And these cloud seedings, there are very few areas that aren't affected. The Wind River is seeded. It affects the east side of the Wind Rivers, the west side of the Wind Rivers. If we don't flow a certain amount of water over Lee's Ferry, we have to restrict water use in Wyoming. Now, I probably won't get into the rest of, but I think all the springs, all of the underground aquifers, groundwater, surface water, all of it's affected by snowpack more predominantly over everything else.
Anyone else for their first time? First time? Anyone else for their first time? Okay, members for their second time. Anyone for their second time? Before the sponsor, Representative Gray.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not trying to belabor this, but my name's on it and want to make sure to back up the prime bringer of it. There's been a lot of pushback, I know, and I just think this is unproven. We hear a lot of numbers, but every time I talk to people, is that there's a lot of skepticism at the university, and I think it's very interesting to me too, the dichotomy. We talk a lot about chemicals in our food, chemicals in this, chemicals in that, and yet this chemicals we're putting in the clouds. There seems to be very little concern from the group that is concerned on those other issues, and so I've always found that fascinating. And the representative that proceeded from Gillette, who is no longer a member, used to talk about that, and I always thought that was really interesting conversation. And so I would urge an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I acquired about that myself, silver iodide. I live by MSDSs in my line of work, and so that is the very first thing that I check out. And I acquired about that, and it came back, it checks out 100% safe for us. They've been using it since 1940. Thank you.
Anyone else for their second time before the sponsor? Second time before the sponsor? Okay, I'm going to go. Representative Baker, you want to bring us home?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. And I do not want to belabor the issue, but I do want to just wrap up with a couple things. There are a number of industries that are that have bought into this program. And again, I don't really necessarily want to cancel the whole program, but I just want the industry who's going to benefit from the testimony that we've had. They're the ones that are going to benefit. Why don't they foot the bill? This is $1.35 million of taxpayer dollars of doing a program that, let's see here from the information, beginning in 2014. So again, I don't think there's been enough time to establish control and understand all the effects. You know, the industry is going to benefit. We need to look at the means to the end. Is it worth it to sacrifice and do these sort of things? But again, man-made climate change, maybe nobody has said it. That's my man-made manipulation. Maybe that's another term we can use. But again, I just don't think it's appropriate for the state to do this. And as a gesture of courtesy to the body, and actually, I guess the industry, I'm going to withdraw the amendment, Mr. Chairman, and I'll do the same on the next amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Baker. That amendment is withdrawn. We are now on the third reading amendment number 2. Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would respectfully withdraw third reading amendment number 2 to the House Bill, let's see, 44. Just with a brief discussion, all it does is just puts the burden on Colorado to pay for this. Other states are receiving the benefit. I just wanted to place the burden on them. And again, I'll just withdraw that amendment in hopes for future discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Representative Baker. Okay. House Bill 44 having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
No.
Banks.
Aye.
Bear.
No.
Blackburn. Blackburn. Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
Aye.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings. Jennings.
Aye.
Kenner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman.
Sorry, a little numb. Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
No.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
No.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Sherwood. 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 Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stiff.
Aye.
Stivar.
Aye.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Wharf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
Blackburn,
Aye.
Sherwood.
Chief Clerk,
Yes,
this is Speaker Pro Tem. I could see Representative Sherwood earlier clearly indicating an aye vote. She was having difficulty with her.
I see a thumbs up, please. Sherwood, aye. Closing vote, are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 56 aye, 4 no.
House Bill 44, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, Senate, or excuse me, House Bill 44 has passed the House. Mr. Speaker?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Members, we're waiting on the Senate to recess for lunch so we can have Rules Committee. So we'll try to knock out one with one more amendment and then two that don't have any more. So I will proceed with that. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 45. Chief Clerk.
House Bill 45, sponsored by Select Water. Changes to water right, notice requirements of hearing, an act relating to water, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
House Bill 45 has an amendment. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move third reading amendment number 1 to House Bill 45 and ask for your favorable consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. I would have brought this yesterday, but I had a prior engagement that would not allow me to bring this in second reading. All this does is basically remove the publication notice in the local newspaper. You know, we have talked about this in the body the past 5 years that I've been in here about the amount of money that we give to local businesses just to prop up the newspapers. And the interesting thing about this particular situation is this is not an agency. This is not anything. This is actually, the onus goes on to an individual who's trying to get a water right. And so when we're looking at the potential of going on to water right, we're asking this individual to go out not only to notice everybody by paying large fees and mailings, but we're also asking them to go out and take out a fee and charge them a fee in the newspaper. And really all this is doing is supplying our local newspapers revenue on a regular basis. And there's a point to be said about these being local jobs and keeping our newspapers afloat. But I am going to go back to a very similar situation that we did with our alcohol discussion this morning and yesterday, that it's not the government's job. This is not the government's job to be supporting this type of these businesses and keeping them afloat. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll keep it brief. This is just basically removing the newspaper requirement, keeping the other certified mail and everything else that we have done. This is just removing the no newspaper requirement.
Thank you. I'll go with Representative Larson and then Clausen and then Schwartz. Larson, Dan, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against this amendment. Obviously, the Select Water Committee worked on this awful hard. I do want to really not talk about the papers, although the cost is like $30 to $50 to publish a legal notice in the paper. We do want to make sure that the people that may be affected by this, that they get notice. And for 21 or more people that need the notice, this makes it a little bit cheaper for the petitioner who will pay it. Pay this. It just makes it cheaper. And so taking away the certified mailing, which would cost like $6.40 for each mailing, each letter. We've dropped that down to requiring them to just send a regular mail notice but we want to make sure it's in the paper also. People do still read the paper. The paper saves these for forever, as far as what I've heard. You can go back a long ways looking at papers and legal notices, so that is very important for people. So I would encourage a no vote on this amendment.
Thank you. Representative Clausen, then Schwartz, then Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On and against the amendment. So this is a pretty old debate, this newspaper debate, and I think it applies for. We have to look at the bill and what it applies for. So I'm currently, or have just gone through one of these situations where it was a point of diversion change. So this is not just for asking for a water right. This is for a point of diversion change, and the petitioner actually missed several other people that were being affected by this point of diversion change, and they picked it up in the paper and actually came to the hearing. So in this particular instance, I think a newspaper is definitely in order. And I understand the debate. We've had this debate for newspapers forever, and I think there's certain instances we can get away from it, and I think this is one that actually merits newspapers. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Representative Schwartz, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On and against the amendment. I don't think the issue is actually about supporting newspapers. I believe it's an issue about informing the public. And right now, I mean, I'm a huge believer in providing electronic information to the public, but we're in an era of transition in which many people still rely on a printed newspaper to get their information. So I cannot support this amendment, although I appreciate the bringer of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Hunt, and then Representative Duncan, and then Representative Nyman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just summing that up in a word, transparency. This is about transparency, and this is about informing the public in every way possible. I understand that we are trying to cut costs here, but for the lack of transparency that would come about if we were to drop this, respectfully to the bringer of the amendment, it isn't worth it. And I also would point out that it isn't just in the physical print form of your local paper, which is vitally important in and of itself. But as long as these newspapers are getting these notifications, most of them are probably going to put those notifications on their websites as well, which these days, whether it's through social media or through the newspaper's website directly, get a lot of traffic as well. So on and again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Duncan, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First for a second.
Representative Nyman, you had your hand up earlier. Did you still want to testify? All right, pass on Representative Nyman. Any other members for their first time? Any other members for their first time on the amendment? House Bill 45, third reading, amendment number 1. Any members? Representative Zwanitzer, for your first time.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. In favor of the amendment, someone correct me, but I've read the current law. Now we're requiring an additional burden on a petition, and it can't just be any newspaper. It has to be the newspaper of general circulation in the county for 2 consecutive weeks, which I think in some places that's fine if you have a weekly newspaper. If you're doing something in one of our larger counties, this gets pretty expensive pretty fast for 2 consecutive weeks in some counties, daily newspapers. So, which is weird that you're giving an opt-out that the state engineer, the Board of Control may require the mailings. So I would assume the petitioner has to go before the Board of Control and ask permission and tell them specifically who they're going to be mailing. If we're now allowing that to be up to the Board of Control to decide who's getting mail and who's not, they got to make a pretty strong case, I would assume, of here's everybody we believe is affected, and we're allowing the government to decide if that list is correct or not, which seems weird. But on top of that, we're putting another burden. And in some counties, I'm not saying in some of your areas, when you have a weekly newspaper, it's a burden, but certainly if it was in one of our 4 larger counties with a daily newspaper, it's a significant burden. And so I don't think the language is necessary and would ask you to vote yes on the amendment.
Thank you very much, Chairman Eklund, and then Representative Simpson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So what happened in this legislation is I believe we deleted the newspapers out of it. So it isn't like we're putting it in, especially for this. Most of us don't, unless it's in an email or a form like that, don't look on in digital ways looking for notices. And this is just, again, it's information, it's transparency, and I think it's well worth whatever we spend to make sure we do it. The day will come when old gray guys like me die away that read the paper all the time. And then maybe it may be appropriate, but I'll probably argue in favor of putting the notices in the paper until that happens, because I read those notices, and other of my peers do as well.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Representative Simpson, for your first time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's clear this up real quickly. Currently, an applicant who wants to change a point of diversion is required to send out registered letters to everyone, all the intervening head gates. This bill allows the case that if there's more than 20 intervening head gates, they can drop down from the registered mail down to just regular mail. However, it then adds the the requirement that they also put it in the newspaper. So it's a softening of the expense with one extra provision to make sure that everything's notified. I think the mail is important. Believe it or not, older people really are the ones that are watching their water rights, and they are reading the newspapers. I think this is an important area to document changes in water rights. I urge you to vote no on this proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member for their first time? Any other member for their first time? Member for their first time? Member for their second time? Any member for their second time? Before the sponsor, second time before the sponsor. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just in a little bit of summation here, I think one of the biggest things that I out of the conversation that was just had is we're softening the blow. But I think in the age of transparency, we are going from certified mail to regular mail is what I just heard. And I would venture to say that as we're going to regular mail, there's a lot less chance that somebody may receive that notification in the mail. And not everybody reads the paper. So to me, I feel like this is actually a safer bet if we stick with the certified mail. Then you are guaranteed that the person that was intended to get the mailing would get the mailing. And there's really no chance that they would not receive this because it's certified mail. You're having to spend and having the expense to do this. I think if you're doing a point of diversion and or a change of water rights or whatever the case may be, we seriously need to be looking at what is the most, not what is the most economical, it's what is the most transparent, what is the most expected. And I think at this point, we have a situation in which we're causing, I am sorry, I have got a dog barking in the background. We have a situation right now where we do not need to be posting this in the paper. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will call for the question.
Well, that's one way to speed up the debate. Thank you. So we're voting on House Bill 45, third reading amendment number 1. All those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand to your screen. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. The amendment has not been adopted. The amendment has failed. House Bill 45, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Fair.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
No.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
No.
Clausen,
Aye.
Clifford,
Aye.
Connolly,
Aye.
Crago,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Eklund, Air,
Aye.
Flitner,
Aye.
Fortner,
Aye.
Gray, Greer,
Aye.
Hallinan,
Aye.
Haroldson,
Aye.
Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Jennings,
Aye.
Kenner,
Aye.
Knapp,
No.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez. Martinez. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Nyman,
Aye.
Newsom,
Aye.
Nicholas,
Aye.
Oakley,
Aye.
Obermuller,
Aye.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
Aye.
Paxton,
Aye.
Provenza,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stith,
Aye.
Stivar,
Aye.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Wharf,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 57 aye, 3 no.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. House Bill 45, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 45 has passed the House. The next bill for our third reading is House Bill 66.
House Bill 66, sponsored by Natural Resource Funding, 2021 Large Project Funding, an act relating to the Wyoming Wildlife and Natural Resource Funding Act, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
House Bill 66, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew,
No.
Baker,
No.
Banks,
Yes.
Bear,
No.
Blackburn,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Burkhart,
Aye.
Burt,
No.
Clausen.
No.
Clifford,
Aye.
Connolly,
Aye.
Crago,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Eklund,
Aye.
Air,
Aye.
Flitner,
Aye.
Fortner,
No.
Gray,
No.
Greer, Greer,
Please continue, Chief Clerk. We're rebooting his system.
Hallinan,
No.
Haroldson,
No.
Harshman,
Aye.
Heiner,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Hunt,
Aye.
Jennings,
No.
Kenner,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Larson Lloyd,
Aye.
Larson Dan,
No.
McGuire,
Aye.
Martinez,
Aye.
Nyman,
No.
Newsom,
Aye.
Nicholas,
Aye.
Oakley,
Aye.
Obermuller,
Aye.
O'Hearn,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Ottman,
No.
Paxton,
Aye.
Provenza,
Aye.
Roscoe,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Sherwood,
Aye.
Simpson,
Aye.
Summers,
Aye.
Stith,
Aye.
Stivart,
Oh.
Sweeney,
Aye.
Walters,
Aye.
Washit,
Aye.
Western,
Aye.
Wharf,
Aye.
Williams,
No.
Wilson,
Aye.
Winter,
Aye.
Yin,
Aye.
Zwanitzer,
Aye.
Mr. Speaker,
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Hallinan?
No to aye.
No to aye. Further changes? Further changes. Closing vote. The vote is closed. 46 aye, 14 no.
House Bill 66, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Bill 66 has passed the House. Next for our consideration is House Joint Resolution 1.
House Joint Resolution 1, sponsored by Transportation, Highways, and Military Affairs, Traumatic Brain Injury and Post-Traumatic Stress Treatments. A joint resolution requesting Congress to enact legislation and requesting that the Veterans Administration work to expand and improve efforts to treat traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Wyoming.
House Joint Resolution 1, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall the bill pass? Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew.
Aye.
Baker.
Aye.
Banks. Repeat, please.
Aye.
Bear.
Aye.
Blackburn.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Burkhart.
Aye.
Burt.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Clifford.
Aye.
Connolly.
No.
Crago.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Air.
Aye.
Flitner.
Aye.
Fortner.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Greer.
Aye.
Hallinan.
Aye.
Haroldson.
Aye.
Harshman.
Aye.
Heiner.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Hunt.
Aye.
Jennings.
Aye.
Kinner.
Aye.
Knapp.
Aye.
Larson Lloyd.
Aye.
Larson Dan.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Nyman. Nyman.
Raise your hand to your screen, please, Representative Nyman.
Oh, there it finally comes. Aye, I'm sorry.
Newsom. Aye. Nicholas.
Aye.
Oakley.
Aye.
Obermuller.
Aye.
O'Hearn.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Ottman.
Aye.
Paxton.
Aye.
Provenza.
Aye.
Roscoe.
Aye.
Ports.
No.
Sherwood.
Aye.
Simpson.
Aye.
Summers.
Aye.
Stith.
Aye.
Stivar.
Aye.
Sweeney.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Washit.
Aye.
Western.
Aye.
Wharf.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Winter.
Aye.
Yin.
No.
Zwanitzer.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker.
Aye.
Closing vote. Are there any changes? Closing vote. The vote is closed. 57 aye, 3 no.
House Joint Resolution 1, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the House, House Joint Resolution 1 has passed the House. Mr. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand in recess until 2 p.m.
Thank you. Any announcements? I just have one reminding the body that the House the Joint Rules Committee will meet with our Senate colleagues when they also recess for lunch, and they're still going. So I can't give you an estimate of time, but we have 2 hours or approximately 2 hours. That's all. You've heard the motion of the majority floor leader. All those in favor of recessing until 2 p.m., please raise your hand. All those opposed? We are in recess until 2 p.m. Thank you for your good work.